So, how do you guys know when, like, in your games, when too much RP is just too much? You know, like
I was actually just talking to my wife about this, honestly, and she calls those people like over the top, and it just overloads your sensors. Where somebody's just going like crazy with a voice or an accent or something that's just so much. It kind of distracts from what's happening. I think that's the key. Is it distracts from what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Yeah,
we definitely don't want to discourage anyone from RPing, but it can definitely be like your character for sure.
Like you're trying to DM, describe a scene, and then the player just like pushes right in and starts hamming it up.
Like don't be a main character.
Right.
It's like I respect the enthusiasm, but don't cut me off. Do that one more time in Rockfall.
Exactly. Lose your footing.
Disadvantage in combat for the rest of the campaign.
I think, like, there's something about getting a gauge for how your party is too. Or do they roleplay at all? And you're the only person that's roleplaying. It's a little bit like taking over,
Oh yeah, because like I struggle with that a little bit myself. I'll be trying to get the other players to roleplay with me, like, hey, interactive thing, and then it's like trying to act, but like the other person is a wall. So like it's like being a vocal mime.
You can be like that sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, you're out there giving the performance of a lifetime, but
I can imagine, a lot of people who are in that situation, they could be, maybe they don't know what to say. So,
Well, I mean, Mike and I talk about this
here,
Yeah, Mike and I talk about this a lot. With there's that vulnerability that you have to kind of get used to, that you're willing to open up and actually like role play with other people at the table, and that improv is kind of a muscle you got to practice before you get better at it. It takes a little bit of practice.
Yeah, definitely. Like playing a character, or stepping out of someone that's not you could be hard, and intimidating, definitely.
Or if it's like you, now you're you're kind of being vulnerable here, right? Like,
you're directly putting yourself out there at that point. Like,
The first couple characters are almost always self-inserts. Like, I'm just going to take myself and I'm going to play myself. Who doesn't know how to play themselves better than yourself?
What if I gave myself this specific trauma? Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
This got horribly real, horribly fast.
What if I try to play through my entire life's trauma of my dad went to the store for a carton of cigarettes and a gallon of milk.
Came home.
Oh no.
And then your character's backstory is your father went out for a carton of cigarettes and a gallon of milk.
No.
And now you're a rogue.
He was attacked by werebears.
Yeah.
See, in that case, I think that would be the story my character told everybody. Oh yeah, my father was attacked by werebears. No, he wasn't. He went out for a smoke and never came back.
There you go.
The party mom is your actual mom.
It's like you're down with a drunk.
I can see that getting over the top, real fast.
Right.
Mom being your mom.
I'm totally on board for it. I will absolutely play someone's mother. I'll be a paladin. I'll have my, my boomerang sandal. I'll have my.
If you
Chanka.
I'm bending you over my knee and paddling you.
That's right. You find a goblin, and then it's a naughty little goblin. You bend that goblin over your knee, and you show him what's what.
You get
those healing hands, but every healing hand hurts so much.
This hurts me more than it's gonna hurt you.
You get advantage on range attacks when you're wielding the chancla.
Yeah, you get advantage. It returns. It's a return. Yeah, I think you said that. Yeah.
With the new paladin for what they're playtesting right now, you can put smite into your thrown weapons. So
I heard that.
That's lethal.
Gosh,
that's so broken.
Orion,
that's so broken.
Before we get too deep into it, it's been 4 minutes. Let's start the show.
Welcome to Dungeons and Talkshows, the only talk show that brings you news, dragons, and homebrews, and probably some monsters too. With me, as always, is my co-host, Sam.
Hello. Sadly, this time I did not bring you guys a dragon. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I have failed you.
You tried so hard and got so far.
No. It's Dungeons and Dragons, but there's no dragon in this episode, which I apologize.
Yeah, that's okay. Not enough dungeon masters have actual dungeons either.
This is true, you know. Not like me, you know. Not saying I have a dungeon or anything,
but not like you live in one. But
yeah. Don't touch me, my life story. Come on.
We have some special guests with us today. How about you introduce yourselves?
I'm Ben. I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons now for over 2 decades, both running and playing in games.
Yep, and I'm Mike. I'm a therapist, but also play Dungeons and Dragons.
And together we run a podcast called Session Zero, where we talk about therapy and Dungeons and Dragons, and we kind of analyze how this game, helps us and helps other people get through trauma.
Nice.
Okay, so very relevant to my my milk situation.
Exactly. No, it all comes full circle. From the self-insert to the milk to mental health, it all runs full circle, man.
Yeah.
It's perfect. We're happy to have you guys here today.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
I think it's kind of interesting that you guys you guys talk about mental health, and I kind of brought a devil to talk about, something that kind of tempts you and preys on those, traumas and fears. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that when we get to it.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty fitting.
I don't know. But yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about how your show goes, I suppose. Do you bring people in to talk about how they kind of work through their traumas through D&D, or?
We are trying to get there. Our white whale right now is we started this podcast because we heard about some therapists that were using D&D to run therapy sessions. And we're like, that's freaking cool. That's a really cool thing to have out there. We would love to talk to them just for our own benefit. But Mike and I were talking, I'd say almost every day. We were hanging out and talking about Dungeons and Dragons in some form.
Well, we play a game together. He runs a game for
right.
a group, and then it's afterwards I'm bugging him with questions, and I don't know, it's popping in my head, therapy questions, and he's just like, yeah, that's interesting. We end up talking until 12 at midnight. We're like, we probably should go. But one day I was just like, hey, do you want to do a podcast on this, what we're doing right now? Do you just want to do that? We'll talk about the game, but we can talk about how it has this ability to give back to the players, so we want to, we've been doing it, like we said, for since June. We're finding our way, but we have a few therapists lined up that we want to speak with, and along the way we're talking about interesting different topics.
Well, that's just fascinating.
Yeah, that is really cool.
I think a lot of our episodes come from actual situations that we've encountered at the table, where we've gone through so many games through our lifetime that we've experienced some pretty bad trauma ourselves. So for me, it feels like I'm in a therapy session, talking to Mike, so my players, man, they are giving me the worst anxiety, and we just have these really casual conversations, which is really great.
I definitely hear from my players a lot. I'm currently running a game. They tell me a lot about how it's really nice to have something to get everybody together. To spend time just kind of fucking around for a few hours. They really appreciate, and they think they tell me that it does a lot for their mental health. And I feel now that I'm running a game again, I can definitely say it's doing a lot for mine.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
the
creative
social
element.
the social aspect of this game is so crucial
Right.
because you're working directly with everybody at the table, whether or not it's another player or it's the dungeon master. There's such a connection where you have to give everybody a little bit of trust, and you give everybody a little bit of respect, and it really is a deeply social game, and we really love that about this game.
Facts. I agree.
Absolutely. Like one of the things that I find that really helps people mentally with D&D is like a lot of people really underestimate the value of I guess the metaphorical concept of a Saturday. Everybody needs a Saturday to look forward to. When you're a kid, you're just kind of getting through the school week and all of that, just so that you can get to Saturday morning cartoons, no school, sleep in if you want, stay up all night if you like, depending on how your parents are. Maybe there's like a little family thing that you do on a Saturday. Like a Saturday is a magical thing, and you spend your whole week just struggling to get through all the monotony, and once you're finally there, boom, it's the reward for all the suffering of the week.
Right.
And that's kind of what it may not be on a Saturday per se, but that's what D&D is to me. Like, I look forward to it,
Definitely.
It kind of gets me through it.
The same kind of feeling of, waking up to watch Saturday morning cartoons. Like,
I was up so early for that shit. I'd watch the infomercials for like 2 hours.
Man. There was nothing like sitting down with like the bowl of cereal, put on some Sonic X.
Oh man, yeah.
Sonic X would come on just before I had to go to basketball practice. So I'd watch that, get hyped up, like gotta go fast. I'd grab some sweet tarts and go up to the other kids in traditional basketball fashion and be like, here, have some energy boosters. Little did I know I was role-playing the fantasy of selling steroids to other players.
Amazing. If you also love 4Kids and Sonic X, as well as Kirby, or whatever that show is called, give us a good rating on this episode for bringing it up and unlocking that memory.
Core memory unlocked.
Hashtag Saturday mornings, right?
Yeah, hashtag Saturday morning. Even though it's Saturday night.
Right, well, yeah.
All right.
Close enough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think I didn't mean to jump in, cut anyone off, but I think that social element just cannot be emphasized enough. And I know, like I think we just had an interview a while back, and it was a person that didn't know anything about D&D, and as they were talking with us, they're like, oh my god, they're like, they wanted to experience this social experience, because I think for everyone's maybe had a bad experience here and there, but most people have like great experiences. Like these are like lifelong friends that you build life with, and that's pretty rare and pretty special.
Right.
Absolutely.
What I think is really cool is you get characters that RP a lot, players RP a lot. They build kind of this character relationship that translates into the real life relationship, and they end up being as close friends as they are in game, and it builds this really interesting dynamic that I really look forward to with my players.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I feel like over time, me and Orion have kind of hit that level of synergy, and it's pretty nice when we play together.
Yeah, I know that I reminisce on Dungeons and Dragons stories from 2 decades ago, just living vicariously through my 13-year-old self.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that game. That was such a good game.
Oh man,
I've met so many people over the years that do that. Whether it be my dad or Old Man Skip that used to work at the factory I used to work at. He was in his 60s.
Is it really called Old Man Skip?
Yeah,
shout out to Old Man Skip, man.
Old Man Skip.
It kind of sounds like a Scooby-Doo villain.
Yeah, ex-Marine used to play with the other Marines in the barracks, and they'd be just playing D&D, rolling their dice. He's playing his half-elf female caster fighter or whatever, and he was like damn proud of it, you know.
Own it.
Awesome.
Yeah, he was all about it. There's a surprising amount of D&D that you find with veterans who play, and it's really like always in the most surprising places. Like we got a guy on our server who used to play D&D in prison.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
We had him
Let him have dice in
on an
there?
episode.
I've heard I actually did a little bit of research on the subject, because as soon as he said D&D in prison, I'm like, I'm fascinated. And
Right.
so I started
Yeah,
doing
it's
research.
Truly
It's like,
curious. Yeah.
some places they don't let you have dice because that's associated with gambling.
Yeah.
So they'll have some people
Yeah,
make
right.
their own dice with paper or toilet paper or something. Other places they just use spinners. And it's just like, imagine making your dice and then you have to hide them from the guards constantly just so that you can roll.
I'm trying to sneak past the guards, but the jingle of my dice keep alerting them.
They're like, oh,
Yeah.
the guard's coming. Roll for stealth.
Absolutely. Like I started doing more research. I was like, okay, if I ever find myself locked up, how many source books can I have with me? Like,
Right,
do I have to
right.
get these on the commissary?
Look, man,
what's
think of the
word?
campaign you could create with the time you have in prison.
Oh, wow,
my
yeah.
Honestly,
Oh,
12-hour
my
games
God.
are suddenly they might be doable,
Yeah.
provided you have
I
the
would
time.
I'd probably get moved to a psych ward because I'd start drawing my maps on the walls and stuff.
Yeah.
Crazy guy
I ran out of paper, man. Come on.
Get stuck in a state where they ban D&D from prison, so you only have Pathfinder.
Oh, man.
I'd be okay. I'd be okay.
I mean, you
They'll
know.
never know.
You just say, we're playing 3.5 tonight. Yeah.
Damn, they'll never know the difference. Got him.
That's like that that movie Shawshank Redemption, right? Like, wasn't that
exactly.
he Morgan Freeman was the guy that would get all the stuff, and he got Andy, whatever his name was. He was building a chess set, so he got ivory or something like that. You know, I imagine I'm gonna go to Morgan Freeman. I'm gonna ask for dice, and he's the guy that's red or he's the guy that's gonna get it for me.
Right.
But the problem
He
is
just
he's gonna
pulls
bring you
them
some
out of his
D6s
pocket.
and you're gonna be like, "Where's my D12?"
Oh, yeah, there's only
I
gonna be
can't do
D6.
this with a
Damn!
D6. Come on. What do you think I'm playing here, White Wolf? Come on.
I think you're working with an amateur here. I need at least a D100. Come on.
It's wild stuff.
This is already going to be a fun episode, I can tell.
Oh, absolutely. So, I guess, what's the most common thing that you see people try to get out of it, so to speak? You know, in the terms of mental health, I suppose.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you said something earlier about prison and military, and I had recently did like a soft interview for an episode we're gonna do, and I got his permission and everything, and so I don't know, he reached out to me on Facebook, he saw our thing, and
Yeah.
and you know, he mentioned he's a veteran, you know, he went to Baghdad, and he plays D&D, and he was just talking about how D&D really saved him. And I was like, I gotta hear more about that. Like I am fascinated about that. You know, like, and you know, I mean, I'm sure it's different for everyone, but he was saying that, you know, when you're in combat situation, right? You have this.
Yeah.
What's the word? Like you're always on the go. You got your head on a swivel. Hyper vigilant,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
You have to be, you know, and regardless if you've seen action, it's like that is like a constant state of I don't know, anxiety or whatever you want to call it, right?
Like, yeah, you're getting like that constant adrenaline. You're
Yeah.
always amped up.
It's what saves you, and
Sure.
and I guess he needs to be that way. But when he came home, you know, they gave him like 2 weeks to adjust to society, right?
Mhm.
He was supposed to get 2 months, but whatever, they didn't want to pay or whatever what happened. And so even he was saying even to this day he has a difficulty with large crowds and things like that, and always needing to know where the exit is. But he said that he didn't realize he had PTSD for a while. Went back, got help, and he found a couple people in there that were playing D&D. They're like, let's I'm interested, let's play. And he started talking about how the playing D&D got him to trust people a little bit more. Right? And
you know what, that does make sense.
I mean, because think about it, right? Like if I ask you, hey, tell me about your PTSD, like it's like, okay, I don't know if I want to go there, right? But now you're like, okay, you're a half orc, and you were in this barbarian tribe, and you just got done with war, and now you have to go to wedding or something social, and like you like you're put in a scenario where
it's similar enough to where you can like relate.
Like
but and also you bring down your defensive walls.
That's it.
You don't have that like immediate like reaction to bring up your own defenses to protect yourself, because it's not really you, it's this persona or this alternate character.
And you know what? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Okay, I could definitely see where this is going. I can see this leading to a lot of self-actualization. You're playing through this character, and then you're like, hold on, wait a minute. I'm drawing the parallels. I have to act out how I want this character to be. And it's like, I'm already doing it. If I could do it for this character, why can't I do it for my life?
I mean, it's the potential is there. And we're already doing it. It's the cool thing,
it's just kind of the intrinsic value of D&D is it happens organically, because like I said earlier, usually within the first 5 characters, a person it's a slow kind of a curve to grow out of the self-insert, because you're putting a lot of yourself into those first few characters before you start moving on to making something completely different from yourself. Like I've gone from making characters that are kind of similar to me in a way to a completely different direction. Like my current character is a female dragonborn who was held in captivity by mind flayers and stuff for a long time.
There's
going to be some trauma there.
Oh my gosh,
and I kind of play her off as a overly happy, kind of silly type, and she just tries not to be serious about things. So she's just kind of like trying to hide that trauma behind the, kind of a wall of trying to be like the too happy, the too silly, trying to make those around her happier.
That's a cool character build.
I like that.
But even that, like what you're saying, it's like, so consider that possibility that a player can do something that maybe they never experienced before. Like that opens up, like I'm role playing something I've never experienced before, right? I'm learning what it's like to see things from a different perspective.
Yeah, it like forces you to.
Yeah, man.
Like if you want to be this character, you have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, the world could use a little bit more of that, seeing things from different sides.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of influenced me in real life after years of playing D&D, because like people get caught up in a lot of political stuff, and I just find myself in the center because I don't think most people are genuinely trying to be bad to each other. They just have different ideas on what the solution to a problem is. Like, yes, we can all agree that there is a problem.
Yeah.
And these different people are going to come up with different ideas on how to find the solution to that problem. And that's kind of like a big source of the political divide that we kind of see all over the place. And then people can't possibly fathom what the other side could be thinking in a situation because they only think the way that they think.
Yeah. Yeah, and they total critical thinking, like what you're saying right now, and they have difficulty saying, well, I agree to disagree. right? Like I'll
Mhm.
respect you as a human being,
Right.
but yeah, we're different, you know.
Right.
I think there's something more than the like agree to disagree. I think like the if more people played Dungeons and Dragons, you would have more practice more than
Yeah.
anything else. Just dealing with people that don't see things the same as you, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because the social nature of this game, we are working with other people at the table. I've played with people that they and I just do not see the world the same way,
Mhm.
and we may come at like this problem differently, but D&D applies like a certain rule set that you can be like, okay, look, timeout. Let's look at the rules. They say this. Let's find a middle ground here in this game. And that's
Right.
something that, like, especially with political discussions, people aren't finding that middle ground. They are digging their trenches. You know, you dig in your trench, stay where you are, and when you actually like talk and do this kind of like gamification of problem solving, you can talk with people better and actually solve your problems more more efficiently because you understand, okay, I got to give this guy this guy wants me to go on a quest for him in order to get the thing that I need, so I got to do something for him to give me what I need to complete my goals. So that give and take is ingrained in it subconsciously.
Absolutely.
Definitely true. Nice point. You know, another thing that I really like, it definitely like just kind of forces you to express, you know, not only your emotions and you know your perspectives, but the perspectives of your character. Now, you know, they could be like yours, they could be completely different. You know, and either way, you're doing some form of expression, some form of learning. You know.
Yeah. That's an interesting point, because imagine if it's difficult for someone to express feelings, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, and I mean, I don't know, I've been there, you know, like it's, but there's something that could be very cathartic to expressing something you feel, but also maybe something you don't feel, but you're practicing. It's like a muscle, right? You know?
Yeah. I've noticed that, like, I've seen a lot of people that are at some level on the autistic spectrum that really benefit from playing D&D, and one of the it's not it's a common trait, but not like a definitive trait with the I think I'm no expert, but with a lot of autistic people, it's like they struggle with that little divide with communicating emotions and stuff, and it's just like, okay, you can learn to kind of understand how a character might think because you're trying to imagine how it would be. So you're creating this character. It's like, okay, well, this character is not me, and then you're hyper focusing on how that character is going to express themselves, how that character is going to view the world, and it really seems to help people kind of get out of their shell and learn to experience all these different experiences that they might not have been able to consider because the hyper focus only goes to certain places.
Yeah.
You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I also feel like, you know, you have someone who's going through something, you know, say, I don't know, like a death in the family, right? And then you have them in a D&D game. You can kind of, maybe don't recreate the situation, but something similar, you know, to kind of evoke those same kind of emotions. Maybe they don't know how to deal with it in life, but in D&D, you know, maybe they have an idea. Maybe they can do something about it, you know? Maybe now they feel better.
One of the things that I kind of pitched to Mike was the other benefit of this game is you can put somebody in the other side of an argument, whereas where like they can't quite see why the person that they have a relationship, whether it's like a work relationship or whatever, they can't see why that other person is treating them so badly. But in this game, you can put them in the same role as the person they see as being treated badly, and they all of a sudden get this other perspective on life of like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about all the crap that this person's dealing with. I just thought they were being a
I
horrible
love that you
person to
said
me.
that because you just unlocked another memory of it, man.
Oh.
There was this time, like around one of the times around when we first started playing D&D together.
Yeah.
I remember we had like a player, I think, who was like a little racist, you know. And I don't remember who it was, but our DM at the time kind of put him in a situation where, you know, for him to experience racism toward his character. You know, he was like, "Oh, I don't like this." We were like, "Oh yeah, oh really?"
Oh.
I wonder, huh? Kind of sucks.
I remember putting my brother's character through
Yeah.
just the tiniest pinch of racism, and all of a sudden he's all like, "Okay, you know what, Zig Heil, we're going to genocide this entire town.
Oh no!
Oh,
These humans don't like kobolds. Well, guess what? I'm going to call in the necromancer and his army with these suspiciously these suspicious armbands that you know."
All right.
Wow.
Not at all reminiscent of any World War II
Oh,
stuff.
Jesus. Oh no.
That's whew.
Wow.
My
Going
lord.
a little.
We started with death.
All right, or is it alt rights?
Not to take away from the Nazi thing, but you know, we were talking about death, and you know, my original character in Ben's recent campaign had died. You know, it wasn't planned. It was like he was an artificer. He was trying to blow up a bridge for the greater good to stop an invading army, and things just kept going wrong, and I thought I'm just gonna get in the river, but I forgot that it was freezing cold, ice cold
Oh, no.
winter, and you know, I had such a good stealth. I thought I'd be fine, and then I'm off into this great wide freezing river, and I'm rolling nat ones on all these death saves and everything, and you just don't make it, right? And then it was kind of like,
Hey,
It was-
you rolled a 3 on one.
hey, yeah, you know, the party couldn't find me. It was all too late. It was like nobody expected this night to go that way, and you know, sometimes the games are that way.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
And you know, one of the interesting things was, I mean, you know, Ben, he asked me, like, "Are you okay with this mic?" And I was like, kind of, yeah, like, you know, but we ended up doing a funeral for the character. In
Oh,
game.
right.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I mean, maybe you could say more, Ben, on that.
On the funeral?
The way you
Yeah.
turned around.
I mean, I'm not quite sure what you want me to say.
Okay,
So,
forget it.
like, no. I'll go off. Like, when this happened, right? Like, I wasn't ready for his character to die, and I mean, we kind of talk about this in our episode on death. Like, I was kind of hoping he would be like, "No, man, I'm not okay. Please don't kill my character," because
Right.
I didn't want to kill his character, and I was.
I
trying
mean,
to take,
also, the party didn't think about resurrecting me either.
that's
Burned me,
accurate, yeah.
burned my body.
So
You're like, he's gone.
after he died, it was like a friend had died to me. I was like, "Holy crap!" I just watched one of my friends die from hypothermia. This is
Yeah.
intense. And so, like, I kind of told everybody, I was like, "We're having a funeral. Period. Like, this is happening. Plan what you're saying. Next week, we're doing a funeral." And it was a little bit too heavy for everybody. Like, everybody was like, "We don't know how to deal with this." And so, like, when they didn't say anything, like, the townsfolk all got up and had prepared speeches and talked about his character. And at the end of it, you know, they offer the torch to the party member to light his pyre. And rather than going, "Oh wait, we're gonna resurrect this guy. It's cool, guys," they just go, "Yeah, I guess, yeah, we'll take that torch and in it goes. Bye."
Nice.
They burn him up.
Don't ruin the moment, all right? It's fine.
I turned to him. I was like, "Yeah, now you're fully dead. You're full dead." Because he was like, right afterwards, he's like, "They can resurrect me, right?" And I was like, "Yes, but they have to."
I didn't tell them.
You
though.
can't
Yeah,
tell
I
them.
know.
They have to think of
Yeah,
it.
Definitely.
And he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh man, I'm dead. I'm so dead."
I guess that's another important point. Like, in D&D, a character death in the party is basically inevitable, unless your DM's very lax about it.
Right.
And learning to let go is kind of a big thing. Like, I haven't had a character die yet, but part of me is always just worrying
who's your
that
DM?
I'll have
I
a
gotta
hard
talk to
time
him,
letting go.
please.
I'm the current DM right now. Look, we
You're
had a
giving-
player.
You're giving Sam ideas now.
We had a player die in session 2 of my game, man.
Oh.
Yes, the Hydra Goose.
The Hydra Goose got him.
The
Goddamn goose
inevitable like party or session 1, and you're like, oh man, this is gonna be a TPK tonight, isn't it? What is happening?
Yeah, so like it was really funny. So they walked into an area, you have your creatures around. There was like this little alcove around this like tree, and our assassin roguish character was like, I'm gonna go check out back here while you guys head on. And I was like, all right. So he goes back there, he sees like the grotto, a small little pool, sees a small little goose walking around. And then like the big mama Goostra turns around. He's like, all right, puts the guard up. I'm like, oh, you're crazy. And then it rolled, so it had like a 4 multi-hit, 2 crits.
Oh.
Dead.
You gave him the. Are you sure you want to
Yeah,
do
I was
this? Really sure?
Yep. This was
I
a
wanna do
veteran
this.
player, so he was
All
like
right,
very
then.
committed.
Oh, wow.
He had another character rolled up the same session as we were playing.
I was like, I'm ready to go
my gosh.
again.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of leads me to something like when Mike's character died. Like I made him start back at level 1, and I felt bad about it. And I told him up front, I was like, dude,
From what level?
We were 7. Yeah, we were 7.
Yeah, it was a pretty
I was
big
like-
drop.
I was like-
Everyone's like 8 now.
I
I'm 3.
hate to do this. I hate to do this to you,
Damn.
but I have to set an example because everybody else at this party thinks that if they die, it's all
Mhm.
good. They're just gonna roll up a new character. It'll be fine.
Right.
And I'm gonna let them roll up a new character. There's gonna be some consequences.
Definitely.
That consequence is you're back to level 1. You got nothing. You're starting from scratch.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, wait, he's a level 1? Yeah, he's level 1. And so now they're running around fighting like these difficult things, and they're like, wait, protect him.
It changes the mentality.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'll tell you this: they're not making irrational. Well, maybe they still are, but they're being a little
totally
more
are.
cautious.
Sometimes.
Honestly, I really like the idea. I've played with the idea of running it myself, but I guess I'm too much of a pushover as a DM. I always just let players just like,
of
okay.
starting over to 1. You know, it's funny. I just put up a post on Twitter. It just finished of instead of resurrect, or if your character gets resurrected, what if, and then I listed out like 4 different things. Like, I was thinking of movies, like something bad happens if they get resurrected. Like their alignment shifts evil, right? Or Pet Cemetery. They start to see ghosts. Their past is haunting them throughout, like Flatliners or something like that, And I thought that could be like an interesting consequence for, well, whatever, like resurrecting instead of making a new character.
Yeah.
And then it might be fun to actually play some of that out. I don't know.
I feel like we're having great conversations. But I don't want to break it up, but I think it is good that we take a 5-minute break here before we get into our news segments.
Oh, okay.
And then we can get into the monster stuff for this week.
Awesome.
Nice. All right. We will be right back.
Sounds good.
All right.
Ahoy there! Yes, you! The one wearing the limited edition, nerdy franchise-related shirt. Do you like meeting in taverns with names like the Leaky Wench and the Wounded Willy? Do you regularly spend time with unintelligent barbarians or antisocial rogue assassins? And do you have a friend who always insists on being DM and making you last in initiative because you forgot to take snacks? Then you're in the right place. Join Sam and Orion every week for Dungeons and Talkshows, where they'll have monster deep dives, special guests, and spotlight homebrew creations made by the community. The boys are here to educate and entertain in all areas of role-playing games. Whether you're a new player or a hardened veteran, we are your people. Even the unintelligent, morons, and dunderheads can all enjoy and learn from our discussions. So come and join us on Dungeons and Talkshows on YouTube and all the usual podcasting apps. You won't regret it. But then again, we're nerds, so what do we know?
And we are back. Feeling all relieved, Sam?
I am. Thank you.
Now, we do have a little bit of news today, but I'll cover one before we jump into the monster for the week.
Sounds good.
Got so deeply entrenched in psychology.
I know, that was a good talk, man. I felt bad breaking it up.
I think everybody wants to be an armchair psychologist, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Nothing wrong with it.
Especially when dice is involved, right?
Absolutely.
Well, learning to go from post-traumatic stress disorder to post-traumatic dice disorder.
Hey.
You can never have too much dice.
Well, I'm amassing a whole collection. Might have to go and buy myself a new Crown Royal dice bag. You know, they come with the alcohol for when your players drive you crazy.
Whoa.
Yes.
That's fun.
They give you the dice bag and even a free bag of liquor. It's great. Free bottle of liquor.
I know.
What news
Amazing
have you
stuff.
chosen for us tonight?
Oh, I'm loving the Beholder dice bag.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, let me see. Oh, that's pretty awesome.
That's adorable.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Where can
I
get
saw
one?
this. I got it on Etsy, man. Like,
Oh, man.
I saw it and I was like, I need that in my life so
That's
bad.
Ooh, you should send me a link to that, and we could put that in the description if
Yeah.
anyone's interested.
Yeah, I'll try to find it.
Awesome.
Great.
So this week, for our first little bit of news, Critical Role announces that the return to the UK for the Mighty Nine reunion show
Oh,
and
yeah.
MCM London. So, you know, bringing back the fan favorite characters once again. Really, the only characters I know of from the Mighty Nine are Jester and Not. You know, I don't really. That's about it.
I'm trying to remember. There was Bo, I think, right? There was Jester. There was the guy that had Storm Razor.
I don't know.
Is that the one with Scanlan?
No. Scanlan is Vox Machina.
Ah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I only know the
Vox
bus.
Machina characters.
Vox Machina was wild. I
don't know
was
much
a
about
tad
him.
confused when I first I tried to watch a little bit of Critical Role at one point, and I was like, okay, cool, that's some of it. Having a hard time getting into this. I watched the animated series, like, where's that Dragonborn dude? I thought he was a part of the party. Then come to find out, this motherfucker was putting shame to the Orion name. So, you know, I had to talk with a council of Orions to disown this Orion, because he got the boot from the Critical Role.
Yeah.
True. This is true.
Yeah, he was being that guy, and
That guy.
Everyone knows what that guy is.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
you know, making the ladies feel uncomfortable talking about his chub.
Oh man.
Wow.
Jesus.
That's just. Yeah, that'll get you the boot real quick.
I would
do it,
imagine
dude.
so. We should get him on the show.
Just
Orion,
title
you're
the
listening to
episode,
this?
Tom's boot.
Hit us up.
Yeah. Orion, we just need you to know that the Council of Orions would like to have a word with you.
We just want to talk to you, man.
Dude,
Don't worry, you're not in trouble.
You've been summoned to the Council of Orions.
I think I've easily met more Orions in my lifetime than any normal person meets.
What? I feel like any normal person wouldn't meet one.
I've met like 4.
What? That's crazy.
I'm not counting myself.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. If you've ever met an Orion in your life, go ahead and leave us alone.
I know, right? How many Orions are out there? I've met maybe one before, and I remember thinking, that's a cool name. That's a rare name, you know.
It is.
Was it this one?
Two now.
Ah.
Boom. Stacking up those Orion points. You can cash it in at the Orion shop,
Get a little punch
participating
card.
locations.
Meet
Yeah, I would
10
like a
Orions.
little Orion card, you know.
Yo,
On
free
the,
dice
on the
bag.
10th Orion, I get like a beholder bag or something.
Yeah. On the 10th Orion, you get a free dice bag.
Hell yeah. That was a great
So,
episode.
Sam, what's our monster for this week?
Oh man, this monster for today is the Barb Devil or the Barbazoo.
The Babadook?
The Barbazoo.
You sure on that? That it's Barb Devil, not Bearded Devil for the Barbazoo?
All right, did I say barbed or did I say bearded?
You said Barb.
Did I? Oh, sorry, I meant bearded.
Oh, okay.
We did one on the Bone Devils before, and I talked a little bit about the Blood War. You know, a little bit about the what were they called? The Tanari and the they had the weird name. You know.
Well, whole lots of lore, but lucky for everybody at home, you can just throw that shit out the window. Your game is your game.
This is true. This is all fluff, you know. If you want to listen to this, you know, I think it's cool to talk about them. So the Barbazoo, also the Barb Devils, the Bearded Devils, were the shock troops of the Nine Hells. I'm just gonna call them Barbazoo from now on.
That works. That works.
And the most impulsively and belligerent of the Batezu, which were a
belligerent
legion of the Hells. The barbarous devils earned their names from the venomous, beard-like tendrils that hung from their chins. Barbazoos were 6 feet tall, that's 1.8 meters, often green-skinned humanoids, roughly 225 pounds, 102 kilograms, muscled bodies. Their signature features were their disgusting wiry beards, which were occasionally infested with the white maggots, although they could also be recognized by their pointed ears and long tails. Their skin was moist but covered in scales, and despite having clawed hands and feet, they almost always carried massive saw-toothed glaives.
Well, then. I gotta
find
out how that beard regiment goes, getting all those maggots all up in
What do you
there.
think what they use for like beard cream?
Garbage?
Garbage, yeah.
The flesh of their enemies?
Yeah, it's some sort of flesh.
Definitely, you always gotta go with flesh, man.
Yeah, you know, I bet the maggots they exfoliate the skin a little bit.
Oh yeah, they probably live for all the flesh that they probably just gonna.
I mean, does the beard have an attack or something?
It does, and I will get into that when I talk about their abilities.
I've
that's
run
where
these
the maggots
before,
come from?
and that was the best part of that session. The beard
Beards do
attack.
things.
Oh man.
Oh. Let's see.
This guy just like rubs his beard on you. Oh god!
It's basically like if you've
Beard
seen
whip.
Pirates of the Caribbean and that scene where Jack is talking to him and he has like the tentacles like touching his face.
I just
exactly
feel
what this-
violated right now. Like, please stop touching me with your beard, sir.
Please.
It's starting to sound like some
Personal
sort of
space,
Japanese
please.
anime now.
Look, man, they knew what they were doing when they had these tentacles. So the Barbazoo were volatile and violent, attacking at the slightest provocation and exploiting any opportunity to go on the offensive. They were extremely cruel, fighting not because of loyalty to the system or fellowship with their kin, but out of an injured need to kill and terrify. You know? They were followers by nature, as they were too reckless and simple-minded to lead, being potentially the most chaotic of the Batazu. Slaughter and maiming was their primary approach to interacting with mortals, as opposed to the subtle temptations and deceptions found in other devils. Barbazoo had a personal attachment to the glaives and would stubbornly insist on keeping them, even if offered one of superior quality. So they're loyal to their weapons, at least. Yeah, you know, that's kind of I guess.
That's where they keep their beard oil in their.
Yeah.
Yeah, like keep the beard oil in the hilt.
The hilt.
Alright. I think that's pretty interesting. So I thought it was cool to know that they're not really smart enough to do the whole temptation deal. They're just big fight boys, you know. They just want to scrap.
Well, they could tempt you into a fight.
Right.
Yeah, and if you try to refuse, well, you're still gonna fight.
Yeah, good luck. They rolled a nat 20 on
They're essentially the
fighting.
barbarians of the party, right?
Pretty much.
Mhm.
I guess it would be more like the fighter, maybe.
Fighter, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
loose cannon devil. They don't play by the rules.
Exactly.
Except it's the whole party. You know?
Yeah.
Exactly. So something else, I found out something kind of cool. I went digging into the real world mythology of devils and demons. Tried to find what would be kind of similar to the bearded devil, and there is one that I could find in kind of a small little story. There was a demon called Batazo, one of the demons who possessed a young woman of Leon named Nicole Aubry in the year 1566. He went to supper with her husband under the pretext of freeing her from demon possession, which he did not accomplish. It was observed that at supper he did not drink, which shows that demons are averse to water. And that's all I could find on this little bit. I'm not sure what any of that means, but it seems kind of cool, I guess.
He's not a water
the
man.
I love the idea of them being adverse to water. So, like, if you were to hide a demon in your campaign, like, they wouldn't drink water if you offered it to them.
Yeah.
That would be super subtle.
I think that is something that's fairly common in mythology. Devils and demons don't really like to be, around water, especially, holy water, obviously.
That would be really awesome. And then, like, you just subtly have, like, this one person in the party that's like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And, like...
How come you don't drink, man? What's going on?
Yeah.
You're too thirsty? No.
I love that kind of stuff. Like, I remember hearing this little piece of lore or something about demons, where it's just like, if someone's possessed by one, like they struggle with doorknobs. Because like where they come from, they don't have doors, so doorknobs completely foreign concept. So like they go they're like try to push it, or like they just bump into it, and they're just kind of looking around.
They're used to push doors,
and they're just like, why don't you just turn the knob? And they just kind of look at it bewildered.
The what?
That's pretty good.
Of course, the knob.
This is the knob.
The lid.
No, that's the door knocker.
That's the hinge. The knob. It's just, you know what? After you.
Yeah. Right.
Is he feeling okay?
All right. So, in the Forgotten Realms, Bartazu were the elite assault troops of the Archdevils that fought shoulder to shoulder at the front of the Lemur High hordes. They were deployed in the legions of Hell's middle circles, particularly in Mineros, which is one of the circles. If I remember correctly, Mineros is guarded by the third layer of the Nine Hells, right? Ruled by the Archdevil Mammon, which is kind of like a giant minotaur, I believe. So, particularly by the thousands, either to guard Baator from the outside incursions or to attack the armies of the Abyss. Always found as a muscle for a more devious villain, they were also employed as guards for Greater Batazu or their treasure and lands. I don't know how to say this. Amnesis? I'm not sure how to say that. They were also known as Styx Devils, were a very, very powerful form of Batazu, where they were commonly protected by a group of Barbazus, although they were more fond of employing war devils because of their greater intelligence.
Okay, so
That's kind of
if you want something safe with the big bad, he's just like, okay, make it. I'll just plop down some bearded devils.
Yeah.
Good to go. Anyone tries to get in there, gonna get fucked up. You can't even trick these things.
Pretty reliable guards, you got 20, 30, I mean, we're talking demons here, probably like hundreds, but hundreds of thousands even.
Yeah.
Like,
and their sole purpose is, I saw a thing move, I'm gonna kill it.
Kill it immediately.
Yeah.
Like,
I hope that's something I can kill.
Even if it's not something they can kill, they'll just smash it anyways because they're bored.
Yeah, I don't think they have the intelligence for much else. So they're literally just war bots.
Yeah, so if you got a party with high charisma that they think they can talk their way out of everything,
this would make them, the perfect demon, the perfect devil soldier. You know, they don't have the capacity for much else, but for fighting. You know?
That
They're
group
not going to
that
betray
decided,
you. They're not going to go behind you.
Yeah, that group that decided, oh, we're all gonna be bards, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember watching this movie. It had like a bunch of very prolific comedy actors. Like it had like Adam Sandler and a bunch of others. I think it was like a Notorious 7 or something. It was like a Western comedy movie. And like
Netflix,
all
yeah.
of them had like the same dad, and they were like from all these different backgrounds and stuff.
Yeah.
I like to imagine that as the plot for a party like that. Like
Right.
one bard is the father of the entire party, and the entire party is just various forms of bards.
None of them know.
None of them know. Like
Oh, that's
as the
so
movie goes
good.
on, they're discovering
That's
it.
so
And-
good. Like
That's
they're all
amazing.
talking about their dads. They're like slowly trying to learn who everybody else's is. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, you find out
Yeah,
he's
like
like
each
a
of them knows
changeling or something.
just a different tiny detail about this dad.
Oh, man,
And when
that's
they
great.
finally meet him, he starts trying to manipulate them, but he really doesn't give a fuck. And then he tries to sell them out right away.
Oh man, I love it.
Oh,
So
what
they have
if-
to unite against their father. So
Oh,
the,
that's
the
bad
big
That's the
bad
big bad.
dad.
yeah, the big bad is dad. It's
Oh
brilliant.
man, the big bad.
What if each of them has a part of the whole song, right? And then they,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
when they put it together, it actually makes the song.
They're like, oh, whoa, weird.
Yeah, like
Dad always
each of
said the
their
siblings
moms
would have the other
they-
pieces.
Yeah, like he seduces each of their moms with the same song.
Right.
But like there was so much drinking that none of the moms remembers the whole song.
There you go.
Damn. Nice.
Brilliant.
And we write these plots for you guys. You know, what more reasons for you guys to subscribe to our videos and listen to our podcast?
Hey, this would be perfect for like if you were trying to run a campaign at say a AmeriCorps or a Job Corps center where like almost all the students have daddy issues, so you can help them
Oh,
overcome
man.
their daddy issues with this bard campaign.
Oh,
This
man.
is a big daddy issue bard campaign that I see
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
happening
exactly.
here. Like,
Do you have friends with daddy issues?
It's perfect.
Speaking of daddy issues, let's talk more about demons. As we all know, devils and demons have very big daddy issues.
Nice segue there.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
So the Barbazu were also responsible for locating and ferrying new souls off the shelves of Thistbund to the domains of their respective lords. After reaching the blood-drenched islands on Avernus, they would sniff out which archdevil owned the soul based on the lower-ranked devils responsible for the corruption, as the souls that went to the Nine Hells were especially stained with the mark of corruption. Occasionally, however, it was unclear what a soul's destination should be, a rare occurrence as normally there were marked territories in the mortal realms, determining such a thing, even when no devil interfered with their damnation. Does that make sense? Each kind of region on the world is kind of touched by a certain, devil domain or demon
this is
lord.
my turf
or-
here. You
Right.
stay out of my turf.
Maybe they walked there one day, or they did something that kind of tainted that place.
Yeah.
I could see it. So occasionally, sorry, I lost my place. In such a scenario, Barbazoos serving different lords broke out into frenzied bartering. That's amazing. They often broke down into outright brawls. Any Barbazoo that successfully took such unmarked souls to the archdevils were credited for the capture and thus increased their chances for promotion. Such a situation also made it possible for the soul to escape or be stolen by a third party, and the servitors of the lawful evil deities could also be found negotiating for unclaimed souls with the Barbazoos.
That just
No,
makes me-
everybody wants souls, man.
Dude, it's like a scene out of the Looney Tunes where like a bunch of people are fighting over the same thing. Like you smack one with a mallet, it takes the thing, run off,
It
and then
bounces up,
somebody
someone catches it.
someone just runs right past, grabs it, and they run off a cliff because somebody like painted a cliff somewhere, and then they take it.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah, it's just with souls.
So, as you guys have learned by now, the bearded devils were bred for battle, and all of their devils recognized their worth in combat situations. Yet they also had a bad reputation with other devils for their impulsive nature that frequently got them brutally disciplined. Despite leading the charge in infernal armies, they never commanded such forces, even though they were lesser Batu. Barchazu were very rarely promoted because they suffered incredible losses during the Blood War. With their overall role being that of expendable savages, most Batazu were never promoted again after reaching the rank of Barbazu. So with excellent red Abishai and Spinagons, these are also other demons and devils, skipping the ranks altogether, and were only bearded devils of exceptional merit rising to the ranks. The only sage that could form from that point was that of the Osoiluth, which is, give me 1 second, I'll tell you what that is. They are weird boys. So Osoiluth, I didn't think I mentioned this when we talked about them, but they are bone devils.
Okay.
Yeah, so bearded devils will be promoted into bone devils.
Okay, so
that's their hope at least.
They're not likely to get promoted, but if they do,
yeah, that is what comes of them, you know. And looking at
one
their
day I'll
stats,
become a bone devil.
Looking at their stats, man, that's a bump to be wanting for sure.
You just got to stop killing everything on sight.
Yeah. Just don't be like completely dumb, and just kind of like be a little bit competent, and like you'll probably get there.
Well, some of them don't want to do it because they think they're getting boned, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
They've got a bone to pick with all the other devils, man.
Brilliant.
Alright, getting into the abilities here. The beard of a Barbazu contained a dangerous disease known as the Devil Chills, which caused those struck to develop a painfully burning rash. If not lashing out with their claws and beards, a Barbazu could attempt to summon Abishai, lemurs, or additional Barbazus. Barbazus could also whip themselves into a dangerous battle frenzy, not unlike that of a barbarian. Oh, maybe you were right before. Fearlessly rampaging through the battlefield with no regard for personal safety. As the battle raged on, they were more and more likely to enter such a state, and would stay enraged unless stopped or removed from the battle.
Damn.
They had an unlimited barbarian rage.
That's dangerous.
That is dangerous.
They are the barbarians then.
Yeah, seems to be that way for sure.
Damn, they're spreading disease with their beards.
They are indeed.
Sounds
I mean,
like
those maggots
in my group right now, just spreading
He's
disease.
getting this. Oh no!
They're basically the sailors of the, you know, the party.
Boy. Let's see here. Yeah, so the bearded devils are a CR3, and for reference, the bone devils, their hopeful promotions, are CR9s.
Oh damn! Now that's a jump.
Yeah. That's a big power boost. So they want that. Alright, so you guys asked about the beard attack, and here it is. So it is a +5 to hit, reach of 5 feet, 1 creature, 1d8 +2 damage. The target must succeed on a DC 12 Constitution saving throw or be poisoned for 1 minute. While poisoned in this way, the target cannot regain hit points. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on its success.
I feel like that downplays the disease in the beard.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm
It's
looking
a
at the
CR3,
sheet here.
like,
Yeah, I'm looking at the sheet here, and it doesn't even mention the
suck.
disease. Maybe. I don't know. And then we have the glaive attack here. It is a melee weapon attack, +5 to hit, reach of 10 feet, 1d10 +3 slashing damage. If a target is a creature other than an undead or a construct, it must succeed on a DC 12 Constitution saving throw, or lose 5 1d10 hit points at the start of each of its turns due to an infernal wound. Each time the devil hits the wounded target with this attack, the damage dealt by the wound increases by 5 1d10. Any creature can take an action to stanch the wound with a successful DC 12 Wisdom Medicine check. The wound also closes if the target receives magical healing.
All right, that sounds like a fun thing, because like medicine checks are very underused in my opinion.
You know, it's very rare, I think, that you see enemies having like directly synergistic abilities.
Mm.
The poison stopping you from being able to heal, and the glaive giving you this infernal wound that can be, will only close if you magical heal it or succeed on the check. That's kind of nasty. It'll constantly ramp up until you kill it. That's crazy.
It makes me glad that when I put one of these against my players, the fight took place in a warehouse. So the ranger the ranger just decided to grapple it and then just shove it and throw it into a shelf with a bunch of crates, and a bunch of crates fall down, and then as the crates are falling, they just get the fuck out of there back through the portal, just like nope, done.
This is also really interesting. The bearded devil has resistance for cold, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks that are not silvered. So they have a silver weakness.
Silver.
They have a silver weakness. That's crazy. It's kind of
I don't
interesting.
see that very often. I've never met a player that, in any of my games, has actually taken the time to silver any of their weapons.
Yeah. Not until, werewolves are mentioned, at least, or something.
Yeah.
My players all silvered their weapons because I kind of insinuated that silver was more strong against undead, and so they immediately were like, silver everything. Get it done.
So to finish out this bearded devil segment, I have their stats here. So we have a strength of 16, a dexterity of 15, constitution of 15, intelligence of 9, wisdom of 11, and charisma of 11. So,
all right,
not too bad.
Better than some characters I've had on charisma,
Yeah. And what's really cool, they do speak Infernal, and they also have a telepathy of 120 feet.
Ooh.
So
that they can shit talk mentally.
Yeah, shit talk
Ryan,
mentally.
you kind of like mentioned that they were kind of downplaying this disease, and that immediately got me thinking: is this something that just carried over in their bio from like a previous version?
Definitely seems like that because it doesn't mention it on the stats.
I grabbed my 3.5 monster manual, and
Awesome.
Oh, yeah,
totally
perfect.
has a disease in the beard.
Oh,
Like,
perfect. So it seems like
yeah.
they changed the disease to this poison effect.
Yeah, it looks like they changed it to this poison effect, but it definitely used to have if the beard attack. Sorry about that.
All good.
It's all good.
1-year-old. Yeah, the beard attack used to have a disease called devil chills.
Mhm.
Incubation was 1d4 days. Damage was 1d4 strength.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
yeah, like you're losing strength, and this damage is dealt each day until the affected creature succeeds on 3 consecutive fortitude saves.
Ooh.
Yeah, see, that's what I miss about 3, 5, and 3, like 3rd edition. Like, when it came to monsters, they didn't fuck around. They just throw that shit right out there. It's like, if you catch a disease, you're taking stat damage, and stat damage is amazing.
And that's definitely something I haven't
16.
seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely haven't seen a disease in like any of my games, like at all. Like,
Well, it's weird because in 5e it's so easy to get rid of them, whereas
That
like
makes
in
sense.
3.5 you had to do stuff to get rid of them. In 5e, a paladin's lay on hands cures disease.
that's
Like,
true.
just-
That's a good point.
Done.
Didn't do that before.
So-
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it makes it so much easier. Like that's like a
Right.
restoration spell,
Yeah,
which
unless
you
it's
have to
like a magical disease or a curse of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with devils in general, like, you just put that extra level on there for making it difficult to cure as a disease, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
I think you should. I definitely.
This
think
would
you should.
definitely be a magical disease, I would think. You know,
Yeah.
or like a cursed
Uh-huh.
disease. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd have to have, like, maybe somebody with remove curse and the ability to cure diseases
Yeah.
at the same time, or like 2 people doing it together. That would be really fun. And
Right.
like you said, like, they're not really utilizing much diseases in 5th edition. That's why I like to bastardize a bunch of different games. Like, I'll take a little bit of 4E, a little bit of 3.5, a little bit of 1st edition Pathfinder, and other stuff, and just kind of like throw it all into my game, even though I'm running 5th edition, because it just, you take whatever seems like fun.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that sounds like fun. I think diseases should be more of a thing.
Well,
Yeah,
but
I
the
think
way
you
you
can
said
pump
it,
those up.
yeah, I think so.
Doing it like that definitely sounds awesome. Sorry, I didn't cut you off.
No worries. We're having fun here. No, I liked Ryan. You were saying how if 2 people were doing it, like the party has to figure that out, right?
Yeah,
like it's like
yeah.
there's a little bit of challenge there. They could do it, but they just need to think and talk.
Maybe they do the heal and they're like, "What? It didn't work." Like,
Didn't
And,
work.
and I mean, like, because
Didn't
it's
do it
an
all the way.
infernal because it's an infernal disease, why not make that a story arc? Like, you can't just get rid of this with a cure
Right.
disease. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta go
Quest.
to get
Right.
this
Hmm.
done.
You
This
gotta
thing
find
is
like an acolyte or
wrecking.
something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a ticking time clock going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who
exactly.
doesn't love that, man?
And like you could use detect magic to kind of determine like, oh, this whatever's afflicting this person is magical in nature, but not entirely.
definitely, yeah.
I like
So-
You know, we have a
That's a lot of the party right there. You got your healer, your caster trying to figure it out. You got whoever's like trying to be the holy person. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
we have a very similar situation going on right now. We have one of our companions. It's a Grimokin if you've played Monster Hunter.
I haven't.
Is a small little cat companion, you know.
Little
And
cat
he
guys
helps-
that cook for you.
He helps them out.
Yes.
Yeah, he helps them fight. You know, he just got this dancing scimitar. You know, really cool. So he is inflicted with a curse currently, and you know the party is trying to figure out how to cure it, and it's slowly ramping up, and he's getting these additional effects, and stages are progressing.
Ooh.
Like, and you know it's kind of like this looming dread of like, what if we can't cure him? Like,
yeah.
What
but
happens
None of us
then?
have the ability to do it right off.
Yeah.
Like,
But
but it is
you know-
cool. Oh, sorry.
No, I love that there's stakes here. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's like it builds tension, right? I mean, those are the best stories, you know.
And like you said, with needing a little bit more to cure it, you know, as this curse progressed, you know, stage 2 needs a little bit more. You know, and they found out what they needed, and suddenly they need something from a hag. You know, now they got to go find a hag. Like,
I like it.
And they gotta find a hag before it gets worse. Because
Before,
then they'll
yeah.
need something else.
Something else.
right.
yeah. And that's one of the things I enjoy about it, because like, although it sucks, like, oh no, he's suffering, and we get to RP being supportive of
Trying to be
our
strong.
friend that's terminal, basically.
Yeah, he's
And-
basically terminal.
Oh man.
Oh man.
I hate to rag on 5e because I do enjoy it a lot, but I do
Yeah.
feel like that's one of its shortfalls is like diseases and curses and things of that nature have really been nerfed like pretty significantly.
Yeah.
And I always felt like those were good fuel for like party motivation. Like,
Oh yeah,
you guys are now
definitely.
cursed, you gotta go like absolve yourself of this curse. You gotta go find somebody to, you know, do a restoration casting for you because you're got this horrible disease.
I like
That's
that.
huge motivation.
Oh yeah, and especially like on that, like I feel like curses. You hear, you know, this person got a curse. You're immediately like, oh shit, like it's gonna be some shit.
Yeah,
Like-
you think it should be bad, and then the paladin's like, oh my bad. Here, have 1 point of lay on hands. You're fine.
Yeah, right. Like,
Yeah.
oh, man.
I remember one game that I ran. One of the party members got cursed because they were popping magic candy, not
Oh
too
yeah.
concerned about consequences. And one of the candies cursed the player with what I call potato sight, where they look at any living being they see will appear to them as a potato. With so just you look. around,
I'm
see your
seeing
friend,
Mr. Potato Head or something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. So like you see your friends like, oh, there's a potato in armor. There's a roguish looking potato. There's
That's amazing.
a very fancy dressed potato over there. There's a potato in an apron over there behind the counter. Potato sight. So it's like, okay, everybody looks
Are
like
they at
potatoes.
least
It's a
cooked
big
potatoes?
hallucination.
The
And,
uncooked raw potatoes or like fries, you know, you see some wedges.
Yeah, these are just flat out potatoes.
Damn.
And they went through the process to get the curse removed, by going to a monastery, and I decided that it'd be a little bit more fun instead of just a simple remove curse. Like, they put together a whole ritual, they were doing the thing, and as they're doing it, they kind of like pull the curse out of the character, and it's just kind of like floating there, and they're like, okay, we need a vessel to store this curse in. We can remove it, but we have to put it somewhere else.
Right.
I like that.
And when they did that, they put it inside a hat. So it went from the curse of potato site to the hat of potato site. So if you don the
Put the
hat
on. Oh wow,
you can see potatoes
I
everywhere.
love it. That's awesome.
So,
That's hilarious.
That is cool.
In my game, I've had to like decide that there are going to be some curses that, because of who created them, they are just more powerful than like an innate ability to not have to be cursed. Because like paladins can't get cursed. I think monks at higher level can't get cursed either. But I just finally decided, I was like, this is a god tier character that's giving you this curse. You can't just like wash this away with fluff text. You're gonna get this curse whether you want it or not.
absolutely. It's kind of like say you're good at working just a little bit of code. Maybe you know your way around a little C++, but like, just because you know how to work some code doesn't mean you're an expert hacker. If you deal with, like, if someone writes a high-end virus and you gotta like kind of crack that code, like, it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some effort. You can't just do that overnight.
Yeah.
You know, since we're on the curse topic, you know, another important thing, you know, not just dealing with curses is important, but the way you write curses and, you know, the way you inflict the curse is also important.
Well, you know, you said something about your players were eating candy or something like that, right? You know,
Yeah.
And
Yes.
It made me think, like, you know, and maybe this is the therapist part of me, but it's like,
I'm sorry.
let's keep going on. You know, like, I think there's potential for curses that are deserved, right? It's like
Yeah.
Artie does so many stupid things, inconsiderate things, right? And now they have to figure out, well, did I do something wrong? You know, like maybe that was wrong, and have to go absolve themselves somehow. And I think that there's potential for some fun story.
I think Ryan
absolutely.
nailed it with like the idea of like a ritual to remove the curse, not just like a simple wave of a magic wand. Like that takes away all the gravity of a curse. You know, and like, as a DM, I'm always looking for tools to like ramp up the tension and the drama without being like too overbearing. But at the same time, like, if it's too easy, it's like it's not even a real threat to the players.
Right.
You know? They don't take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that was just
I
something.
love that idea.
Yeah, like I just decided that on a whim when I was running the game. I was just like, it's too easy. It's so anticlimactic.
Right.
We're doing this now.
Yeah.
That was a cool choice.
Yeah.
I did a lot.
I think anticlimactic is the exact word. You know, you build up this whole thing and then it's like, oh, bing, done. It kind of feels like you're letting down everybody at the table by just letting like a little thing solve it. It feels so much more cathartic if, you know, they feel like they've earned it. You know.
It's like you're playing that video game and then it's like you get to the end and you're like, that's it. That's all that happened. You know, it's like, where's my cutscene or something? You know.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 3 ending. Ugh.
Would you guys say that a curse is kind of a gestalt occurrence? You know?
That's a segue and a half.
I don't know. I saw this word and it kind of intrigued me a little bit.
Well, for this week's Describify, we got the term gestalt, which means something that has two or more parts.
Did I use it wrong?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, technically, no. It does have two or more parts. I mean, we are talking about making something like take two or more parts, but I think in D&D terminology, a lot of times when somebody talks about gestalt, they're talking about pick 2 character classes,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
is crazy powerful and fun.
You know,
it really is. Like, if
but
you want
this
a
one-
high power game,
Gestalt.
Gestalt it.
Gestalt, yeah.
So you know what this reminds me of? I listen to a lot of books. I mentioned this before on our podcast. I listen to a lot of lit RPG books, and when I first you first mentioned this word to me tonight, it immediately made me think about this. There is a character who became a Gestalt being. You know, there's a part where he basically dies, and his soul is like shooped back into his body. You know, he becomes kind of a dual spiritual, dual physical person. You know?
Ooh.
And he becomes like, you know, able to kind of interact with the spiritual nature of things. You know, and he becomes kind of like, they call him a Gestalt being because he is now 2 parts of one. You know.
Yeah,
Interesting.
that sounds about right.
And I thought that was a really fucking cool.
Man, I want to make a character class like that now. Holy crap.
I mean, it's Kalishtar, basically that.
Actually, yeah, there is a race that functions like that. But I have to wonder, well, like, what if you had 2 players play the same character as like a gestalted being, you know? Because then you got the duality of these 2 people trying to control the same character.
What's really funny is I thought about this the other day. I think I talked about it with you, where I had an idea for a character who had like, I don't know, maybe he had like a twin, you know, at birth, and they like absorb each other, you know, but the consciousness is still there, you know. So now they have
ate
this
my
dual,
brother in the womb.
yeah. Now they have like this dual consciousness, but in like in this
I
one
mean,
body, you know. But hold on, let me cook.
That's a real thing.
Hold on, let me cook. I'm cooking.
Let him cook.
So, you know, he has this essentially 2 personalities, right? What if they could, you know, take over at different times, you know? What if the different personalities had different abilities? Different spells, you know, preferences or whatever.
I love that, but I'm gonna throw out one more to your cook.
Yeah.
What if those players don't even know that happens?
Ooh. Wait, how? Ooh,
like
it.
Go to sleep, something happens, it pass out or something.
They get
they get overwhelmed. Maybe they get trauma, and then it's like, you need to go out the room. It's your turn to play.
Oh,
I mean, it probably couldn't last that long, but it would be kind of interesting.
That'd be really funny. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and like over time, there's like probably within the first session, they start putting it together and like, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I did what now?
It's so cool.
A lot of people have never experienced a Gestalt character or even heard of it, and it's just a fascinating concept. Like, I've played a Gestalt character for like all of a session and a half, and I had a lot of fun with it.
You know, what's really interesting, you can kind of, you know, definitely use this in the characters, the NPCs or the enemies that you play. When you think about it, undead are kind of a Gestalt, you know? The Lich are kind of like a Gestalt, you know?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
You got all these things that, you know, exist within these different realms, you know? They're all pretty much Gestalts, and you can kind of play that in their personalities, you know, and their intelligence, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there might be, like, a couple of different avenues here, right? So, like, the idea of a Gestalt character, because they walk, you know, they're either like they've got a duality in and of their personality.
They walk between both worlds.
Yeah. Like that duality of like role play aspect is huge. That I think you really could play up. In my personal experience, when we talk about Gestalt characters, I think it's more like you pick 2 classes, and a lot of times you're, or at least both times that I've run into Gestalt characters, like they were leveling up. Every time you leveled up, you got one of each, right? So you end up just getting like crazy powerful.
I like that.
Yeah,
it's
you
wild.
get crazy powerful fast. And if you find 2 classes that are synergistic in a really unique, unexpected way, all of a sudden you make this like this weird duality where you're constantly shifting between your powers to like manage whatever pool of magic or.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, I like that. You know, that also reminds me of the book that I'm listening to currently, funny enough. Now that you say that, the character
Yeah.
in this book,
Sam, I'm going to step away just for a moment, but I'm still listening.
yeah, no problem. He is very much what you're saying. You know, he had to kind of take what he could to survive. You know, so he's very, you know, melee damage focused. You know, he's a brawler basically. You know, in body and attack, but he also has magic. You know, and people go to him. He's like, "What are you like? What are you supposed to be? Like, are you a mage? Are you a fighter? Like, are you a tank or what?" He's like, "Man, I just tried to survive." Like,
that's. I mean, you know, a lot of life is. You know, if we were classes, we're not just one class, right?
Yeah,
like
right.
we're this hodgepodge of
definitely.
what we chose to survive.
Yeah, and I love that, like, all of these things that, you know, to the other characters seem like they don't fit, like they don't make sense. You know, he's all over the place, but to him, he's like, these are all a part of me. These are how I got here. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And now he's cracked out strong as shit. So you know what? It's working.
I'm remembering a 3-5 character class. It wasn't like a multi-class. It was a prestige class, and I feel like this is probably my first experience like dealing with like the idea of a gestalt, and it was it was a combo of two schools of magic where you had divine magic and arcane magic at the same time.
I like that.
I'm trying to remember what it was called.
And I love the idea of combining schools of magic and like making it your own kind of thing. I fucking love that.
Yeah. This is going to be one of those things. As soon as I remember what it is or I find it in this book, I'm just going to like kick myself like, oh, come on, you couldn't remember that?
You know, that kind of makes me think of the character I made for our Ruby campaign. You know, I kind of created a semblance. I don't know if you guys know about Ruby, but I took the spatial manipulation and lightning. I kind of created this void ability.
Yeah. I like
the Ruby game was a lot of fun because
only we could
the system's very. It's just a kind of like a very homebrew D10 system where each player they come up with their own kind of a superpower, but it's like a kind of they just kind of like manage it with dice rolls and stuff, and it can be whatever they come up with. But
Mystic
obviously,
Verge, that was it.
Yeah, and
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, the name alone is like evocative. Mystic Thurge, and yeah, like it's a prestige class, so like you don't get it to start, but it's essentially a wizard, and every level you take in Mystic Thurge, you get one level of your arcane spellcasting and one level of your divine spellcasting. So it's like you're leveling up.
That's powerful.
Yeah, and so like
especially if you multi-classed before that.
Well, you kind of have to pre-rec it. You know, you have to.
Yeah.
It. So all the old prestige classes needed to have prerequisites.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like certain levels in this and certain levels.
So you needed to be able to cast second level divine spells, second level arcane spells, have 6 ranks of knowledge arcana, and 6 ranks of knowledge religion. So you had to devote yourself to divine knowledge. Yeah.
I wish 5e had this.
Yeah, it would be super fun. Like
prestige classes were wild, dude.
I have never heard of this. What the heck? I mean, this kind of sounds like the transformation thing that are in the Grim Hollows books.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of what's going on with 5e is like you'll see people homebrewing stuff, and they're just trying to recreate stuff from other editions.
3.5,
yeah.
They're just going back.
Definitely.
Like 3.5 was amazing in its own right, but it was it was complicated. It was crunchy. There was just a lot of stuff to it, and that was kind of adverse to a lot of new players.
Yeah,
and it's a lot to take in all at once. That's why I'm kind of a big fan of 5e, because it's almost like baby's first RPG to a lot of people. But because it's so gutted, I just love the concept of it. I can just throw in everything and get the kitchen sink.
Any idea I have is possible. I fucking love it.
Like the thing I find that's difficult with it, because it has been so gutted, is throwing the kitchen sink in without, like, the players are already pretty strong, I feel. in 5e, they're given a lot of they're given a lot of leeway. So there's not a whole lot of challenges that are too difficult to overcome. And so throwing in the kitchen sink and giving them more, like it again takes away that like the earned victory, you know, like it's a fine line to walk, and I think I really like didn't experience that until I was trying to make a class for Mike's new character when his guy died. Just trying to build that homebrew class from whole cloth was so difficult to make sure it didn't like just become OP and just like make everybody else like, what can I take a level of that thing?
Right. Why can't I be that strong? You know.
I want that ability. You know?
Right. I definitely get that. No, we are kind of talking about homebrew here, so why don't we go ahead and move into that segment? Today, I bring you guys the Gloom Shield from Griffin's Saddlebag on Tumblr. I did get in contact with this guy. He seemed pretty nice. Told me I could use this for tonight's episode. So shout out to them.
Let's see if we can get him on the show.
Yeah, if you guys are on Tumblr, go ahead and check him out. They do have a Patreon.
Yeah, we featured stuff from Griffin's Saddlebag before, so that's always interesting.
I'd love to talk about their Patreon again real quick. Give them that shout out. Yeah, they have over 1,000 magic items, settings, and player options for 5e. They have, the $5 a month, $9 a month, and $13 a month. Guys, go check them out. They seem to have a bunch of cool shit.
We do love the cool shit.
We do love cool shit here. So today I plan to talk about the Gloom Shield. As you can probably tell, it is a shield. So, that does things that make you sad. I don't know. So it is an armor shield, rare, requires attunement. This tall shield is made from the sculpted lid of a coffin. A skeletal figure rests embossed on its surface, reminding would-be attackers of their own mortality. The shield has 3 charges and regains all expended charges daily at dusk. While holding it, you can use an action to expend one of its charges to cast the Fear spell from the shield, save DC 15. A creature that fails the saving throw also takes 4d6 psychic damage. Alternatively, when a creature within 5 feet of you hits you with an attack while you are holding the shield, you can use your reaction to expend one of the shield's charges to force that creature to make a DC 15 saving throw. On a failed save, it immediately takes 4d6 psychic damage and isn't frightened of you until the end of his next turn. I fuck with it. That's just cool.
Right?
Yeah,
I love shields that just do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Honestly, more shields all the time. Like,
Honestly.
they're just always underplayed.
They really are.
And it is a pretty cool image.
It would force the player to actually like use their shield, not just like lug a shield around when they like want one more AC.
For the AC,
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about what this could be good on. There's the Interceptor Fighter, I believe. Imagine you jump in to block a hit, pop a fear off. That could go crazy.
Yeah, that would be really cool. Well,
Yeah,
they used to have in 3.5, or I don't remember which version it is, but there was a shield fighter. Like they had like a synergy where he'd bull rush, he'd charge, and do like these 3 different things. And it was all with his shield or something like that.
Captain America is definitely a build that everybody loves.
You know what? It is a Captain America, now that I say
I hate to keep relating everything to these books, but there is a character that uses dual shields. They call her the Shield Witch, and it's cool as hell.
Oh man, my roommate he made a dual wielding shield, like a dual shield wielder.
That's so cool.
And like
what a power
his AC was through the freaking roof. Like
it'd be like, I don't need a real weapon.
Sacrificed his attacks. He found a class or like a feat where he could sacrifice attack power to add to his AC, and so like he just go in with 2 shields and just like hold up, and he could like, I think his AC was like a 42, and you're just like,
oh my god,
just freaking
broken.
die,
Broken.
God! And he's like, nah.
Shield wall.
Oh my god, the Spartan wall.
One man tank right there.
Jesus,
Essentially.
that's awesome.
And imagine that player or that character had one of these grim shields.
Yeah.
The shields do.
Oh,
Dear
man.
Lord.
Popping
Damn.
off fears
And
and
you get
psychic
fear.
damage.
And you get fear. And you get fear.
Yeah.
Like the Oprah of fears up in here.
Reminds me of when we had that lantern shield as a homebrew that we brought in.
Yeah, that was a really cool one.
Yeah, because like you could like undo the little thing in the back and boom, blinded for a round.
Oh,
Yeah, that shit was cool.
Wow.
You just kind of open the little fling and it pops out the light. So
That's
Yeah,
really
and it had
cool.
like a spike. I think they over designed it a little bit because there's like a little sword attached to the bottom. Like the spike in the
Wow.
lantern was enough. You didn't have to do the extra sword.
Yeah. Pick a lane, stay in the lane. You're
Yeah.
okay there.
I give
It's
like
okay.
the Gloom Shield a 9 out of 10. I fucking dig it.
Yeah, I
That-
did that.
I would agree with that definitely.
Wow.
And I can't say that my homebrew that I'm bringing in this week is nearly as glamorous. Just a little uncommon item. But I present to you the tramping trunk.
All right.
Tramping trunk. Okay.
Let's see. This medium-sized trunk can hold up to 400 pounds with 10 cubic feet of space. A pair of worn boots poke out from beneath it. As an action or bonus action, you can command the trunk to walk up to 30 feet. If the trunk collides with a larger, smaller hostile creature, the trunk ends its movement, and the creature must succeed on a DC 13 strength check or be pushed 5 feet away from the trunk. When the trunk walks, it stomps loudly and leaves obvious tracks, granting advantage on checks to detect or follow it.
So it's kind of like a Chester if anyone play Don't Starve. It's a walking chest.
Yes, it's a walking chest. Like, everybody gets their bag of holding when they're playing D&D. Well, here's a alternative.
I love him.
It kind of makes me think of like what was that video game Metal Solid Gear where the guy would hide in a box. You could just
Yeah,
get
yeah.
into the chest
God.
and it walks for you.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
It carries your stuff. And it's just like boop, 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 ruining all chance of your party being stealthy. But like,
Well,
it's endearing in a way.
Oh man. I love it. That's great.
I think it'd be a lot of fun to just throw in with parties that really like to recruit things, or
Oh, you mean
It's
like
just
my party right now?
yeah.
Trying to tell me you want this?
No, I like my stealth. Thank you very much. I'd imagine a small creature could ride this. Just imagine
Oh,
the
absolutely.
party halfling just kind of like sitting on top of this chest that's just walking down the road.
That'd be so cute. What an image. I love it.
Like Roomba-ing it, like the cat on a Roomba.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
chilling.
this way.
That'd be a great way to
Into
introduce
battle.
nobles in a halfling town. What's that stomping? Get down! You gotta bow.
So you guys started talking about these homebrew things, and like if you don't mind me sharing, I did a bunch of props. Like I was doing an art contest, and I made cursed items that
Ooh.
I had statted out, and they're totally more in the RP vein of it, right? So you got to have some players that are really willing to play along with this fun thing, and I'll share the art with you guys as well, so you can put it up on your
Absolutely.
websites or whatever. So like the one I want to tell you about, I made, it's called the Third Eye of Talamor.
Ooh.
And this is a headpiece made from rippled gold with polished lapis lazuli, and it wraps itself around the wearer's head. Speaking the command phrase in Sidarin will open the golden eyelid on the front of this headpiece, revealing an engraved lapis lazuli eye, which has a golden iris and a small hourglass in its center. With the eye open, the wearer of this headpiece is able to see their own future, starting at the moment they put the headpiece on,
Okay.
rapidly moving forward into the future. There is no limit to the amount that they want to look into the future in a single session. However, as the wearer is glimpsing into their future, The sands will flow through the small hourglass in the center of the eye. As soon as the last grain of sand falls through the hourglass, the golden iris will rotate, turning the hourglass over. The magic of the headpiece consumes the eyesight of the wearer in order to power this movement.
Oh.
So they can use it however they like. My idea for this was you give this to them and they'll be able to be like, "Ooh, I want to get advantage on this combat," and so they start using it to like look forward in the combat. They give them advantage. Go for it. Yeah. Have advantage on your next attack. But you got to start just like tracking. Okay, yeah, you're using it. You're burning it up, and it's got you determine how many charges it has until it has to reset, and they know from attunement that at some point this is not gonna.
You feel like slowly sucking away your eyesight.
Yeah.
What's that
or
echo?
something. Oh yeah, it is. Oh. I wonder what that is. Is it gone?
Maybe.
Hello? It's gone.
Hello?
Okay. I guess it.
Weird. Anyway.
Anyway.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
I'm
sounds
gonna be
amazing.
careful what items Ben starts giving out now.
That's really cool.
I made 3 different items. I'll shoot them all over to you. You're welcome to throw them all up. Yeah.
See, I was pretty simple when I gave my player a curse item. He got a Sword of Vengeance. Every time he takes damage, he has to make a wisdom save or be like tunnel visioned, basically.
Yep.
Oh man.
And then we have it on our barbarian, so that's fun.
Yeah, he's just kind of coping with it.
Yeah.
But he won't get rid of it either.
He has separation anxiety.
Yep.
Does.
Almost
I love the idea of an item like that because like it over time eventually they're gonna get cocky.
Yeah.
Massive use, massive drawback. I love it.
I like the concept of like high risk, high reward.
Yeah.
Like you can really, if you utilize it wisely, you're gonna get some crazy good power out of it. But abusing it, that's where you're gonna run into the trouble. And you gotta personally figure out where that line is, because it adds to the tension of like, oh, this is the fight with the lieutenant of the big bad boss. Do I use this or do I save this? Because it would really suck if in the middle of the big bad boss fight that hourglass turns over, and now you got to do the rest of the combat blind.
Right. I love the idea of, one-use items too having big drawbacks too.
Yeah.
Maybe you have something like a genie, it has one wish left. But it's gonna maybe you use it and it kills you after or something. like yeah, sure, I'll take your wish, but I'm taking you with me when I leave.
Right.
I think I have one major question on this item. Like, what would happen if a player sees their character's own death?
Oh, that's just better. Like, think about that, because as long as you're evocative with it, they go all the way to the end, and they see, they give them some descriptive big thing. You see a burning phoenix in front of you, and then everything goes black, and they're gonna be like, "What the heck?" And then, and then you have like the invading army. All of their heraldry is phoenixes, and they're just going to be like, "Oh,
Ben knows how to mess with
crap.
people."
Oh crap! What do I do? One of these guys is going to kill me."
It's brilliant.
That's really
I think if I made it, I'd add maybe just a little smidge of psychic damage if they see their own death.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, that would totally go into the Cthulhu kind of games, I love that.
Absolutely, I love that too. That's awesome. Oh, man, thank you for sharing that. That was really cool.
I might put that in a future game.
Please do. I'd love to hear.
We're coming to the end here, so we must ask: where can people find you guys if they want to, they want a little more of you? If they enjoyed you in this episode, they like you guys' voices or something. I don't know.
We are on all podcast streaming sites under Session Zero podcast. I know there's a couple out there. So if it's cool with you, we'll give you the links and everything for
Absolutely.
to post up. Our logo is hot pink with a guy on a therapy chaise, like being given therapy by a D20. So it's very clear which one is.
We'll
ours.
definitely tag you in the in our Twitter posts and stuff like that.
I absolutely love the logo, by the way, because like every time I look at it, I'm just like, damn, what? That is such a good logo.
Oh, Ben made it. He's the artist.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And so Mike, what's where we're on social media?
Yeah, well, we are. Well, that's how we met you guys. Was on Twitter.
Yeah.
So we're on Twitter. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and recently just got onto Threads too. So
Ah.
yeah,
That big
Right.
networking.
trying to strike when it's hot.
Oh, absolutely.
Threads, maybe, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine starting out
On
Threads
Threads,
probably
definitely.
doesn't have like too much of a D&D scene, so you're just like, hey, we're here.
They're early, shit.
You know what? You'd be surprised. They are there already, but
Oh yeah.
there's no like I think when we came onto Twitter, it was like, oh, they've been doing this for a while. I'm kind of really
Yeah.
new. Now it's like everyone's all good vibes on Threads right now. For now,
Nice.
Yeah,
We like
while
to see.
supplies last.
while
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got our stuff on a few different platforms. Like, I put it on a few kind of more obscure ones because you never know where you're gonna get an audience from.
Oh
never
man,
know.
speaking of that, Orion, where can people find us if maybe they don't want to listen to us on Libsyn or Apple Podcast?
Well, they can find us on, let's see, Locals, Rumble, the YouTubes, Facebook. We got a little bit of a TikTok thing going on, thanks to Freelance. He's doing good work with that.
Amazing guy, he's doing great stuff.
Let's see. We're even posting to Minds if anybody uses Minds at all.
What the hell is Minds?
Exactly.
God, do I even work here? What is going on?
The more you know. We can be found wherever podcasts be podcasting, of course.
Oh yeah, podcasts do podcasting, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. I don't know if we have anything else.
No, I think that about does it for this week. So have a good weekend, everybody.
yeah. Thank you
for
for
having
having
us
us
on.
on.
Thank you for coming on, guys. And I gotta ask, are you willing to join our Discord, the Nerd Militia, and become part of our friend group?
Oh,
Definitely.
Of course, we
Let's
love this.
This is
We
what
got a
this-
bunch
this
of people
recording.
on there that play D&D, that doing all kinds of stuff. Artists, content creators that are just starting out.
Yeah,
Awesome.
We're doing all kinds of fun stuff. So, listeners as well, if you want to join our Discord, find us on our website. I believe it's linked in every episode too. So
It is.
come join us and hang out.
Awesome.
Cool.
And peace. Thanks for listening to Dungeons and Talkshows, brought to you by the Nerd Militia. Check us out on Patreon or Discord if you want to support us. And if you want to get more Nerd Militia content, you can follow us on Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, and YouTube. Or really any of the usual podcasting platforms. But as always, we're nerds, so what do we know?